And so that's the potential. What do you do with the Phoenix Center, which is across the street from a transportation center, which has 550,000 square feet of empty Class B real estate in a city that's never going to get changed because the traffic bypasses it on the loop, and which already has the beginnings of placemaking. That's where we are today in a city that finally has gotten rid of the racist county leadership. The county of Oakland is now Democratic, and a man that's been elected is a guy that is openly gay. He's from Ferndale, a former mayor, and he's open to everything. And he's a wonderful guy that is into diversity and everything that means. So we're poised, as we're stuck in this pandemic, with all kinds of potential. And that's where Pontiac is today from my perspective.
And Blair, what motivated you?
I can't hear. Monica's speaking, but I can't hear her.
You were motivated to spark this community initiative to save the Phoenix Center, and of course, Ottawa Towers had its role, but he can't hear me.
You unmuted?
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
He just can't hear me. Anyways, Blair is the person who did this, who initiated the community effort to save the Phoenix Center. And he produced this poster, and he produced a video with aerial shots, and that's been taken down since. But for this first open house that we did in 2014, and then we brought in a placemaking orchestration and some community development, and trying to get, and our background has been in education with Pontiac School District over time, and community centers, and so then this piece here was our second open house that we did, and then following that, there's been litigation. You'll probably be reading about it in the news soon. It's the hottest kind of hot button issue in Pontiac right now. And we've been running these parking days ever since to kind of show what could it be if community and human-centered things were actually tied to that. So did Blair want to talk about that effort, the Phoenix Center saving, or do you want to, then I want to go to Jan.
Monica, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could ask a question. I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, everybody feel free to, this is a back and forth as much as you feel. Thank you, Janice. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so this is all very interesting to me, because we're in a build, we're in the OLHSA building on Cesar Chavez, not very far from all of where this is happening. So this is all very interesting, and I'm really learning a lot from this conversation. The question that I have too is, he had mentioned that there was either an auditorium or a theater that could hold a large amount of people. That's something that we definitely struggle with in our building, is finding a place where all of the us can meet. Of course, not right now. During COVID, nobody's meeting, but eventually we hope to go back in person and have meetings. And we simply, there's about 300 of us, and there's not room in our building for us to all meet, and there's not room anywhere that we know of where we could all have a meeting together. So I'm wondering if there's opportunity for us to, somehow partner to be able to share some space to have those meetings.
Yes, that is absolutely the kind of conversation we want to have, is geared toward action and implementation, and we've always seen OLHSA in that light. Right now, there is the Department of Health and Human Services is state of Michigan occupy, and of course, similar COVID, they're working from home, but they occupy half of the first tower. So they're in and you may know this already, but for anybody else, they're in this tower here. This tower here.
Okay.
That faces the 6 floors of it, but the rest is all vacant. And this tower is all vacant as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, everybody's been, they kind of approach the Phoenix Center with like, what do you do with it? Well, we need to creatively figure out how do we create smart density in these buildings and maybe artfully go about inviting for the right purposes partners, and OLHSA all the way is the right partner for Pontiac especially. And if anyone, and we're going to go into Janice probably right now anyways, and she'll be telling everybody more about what they do and filling huge needs in fulfilling human service needs in Pontiac at a very large scale, largest service provider, and she'll tell you more about that. But yeah, absolutely. I'm going to write a little sticky note about that and put it right there, and we'll explore that as much as you would like.
Yeah, that's definitely something that, when we were all in person, it was really difficult to find a space for all of us to meet somewhere at a reasonable cost. There were other places, but the cost was so high. So if we could, partner in our own community, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, much better than some corporate takeover of the site.
Yeah, definitely.
Closed off and exclusive. So yeah, that's wonderful. Any other questions for Blair before we move to OLHSA? Anybody? Did you, Tim? Did you? I'm gonna go to Janice now. He's done? Okay. Okay, Janice, how about you just take it over now?
Okay. I don't know if hopefully everyone can hear me. But I'm Janice Smith. I'm the Early Childhood Director at Oakland Livingston Human Service Agency, or otherwise known as OLHSA. And so we are right off of Cesar Chavez, right off of the downtown area. We have several different programs within our building. We have our first floor, we have our welcome center where people come in for any type of services, emergency services, bill payment, rent, mortgage assistance. We have several different divisions within the agency as well too. And the first one is the community and energy division, and they provide all of the services for those payment assistant programs. And right now, I just wanted to share too that we have received quite a bit of COVID funding to cover COVID expenses. So I put up our flyer on the mural so you could access our phone number, and then you set up a remote appointment. We're working remotely right now doing remote appointments and contacting out to one of our caseworkers to be able to provide. We have COVID funding that can cover burial costs, that can cover things such as if a family has several children in a school that is working virtually, we can help with technology costs, with providing computers to be able to, because if you've got multiple children in a home and one computer, that is really difficult to do any type of online technology learning. So this way we can help with those costs, and many other many really COVID related rent assistance and mortgage assistance are also the big areas that we're helping with too. So those are just a couple of the areas that we have. Also, I oversee the early childhood division, which covers Head Start, Early Head Start, GSRP, which is the Great Start Readiness Program, the state funded program, and WIC, Women, Infant, and Children Feeding Program. So we cover all of those areas under my division. And just a little bit about what we're doing in Head Start and Early Head Start right now during this time of COVID closures, virtual learning. What we are doing is a lot of our school district, or a lot of our programs are inside of school districts throughout the county. So we're from the north end to the south end of Oakland County. So OLHSA also covers Livingston County, but we don't cover their Head Start program in Livingston County, only Oakland County. And so what we're doing right now is we're really following what the school districts are doing and looking at, you know, what they're doing with classrooms, if they're virtual, if they're in person, because we have to really align with what they're doing because our classrooms are in their building. So right now, the majority of where our classrooms are, those buildings are all in virtual mode. So it was a really difficult decision to make, to go all virtual, because we know our families need us to be in person because they have to go to school, they have to go to work. And it was really difficult to make that decision to go all virtual. But when we really looked at it and looked at the data, looked at what was happening in the county, and really looking at testing, that testing was taking up to 15 days to get tests back. So if we had a staff member that went out sick and got a test, it could be 15 days before they were able to come back into a classroom. And you know, we're already dealing in the state with a teacher shortage. And right now, we're really struggling to get substitutes. So there were just a combination of factors that made us realize that we were not ready to go back into the classroom. And then the other priority was keeping everyone safe, making sure children were safe, families were safe, and that our staff remained safe as well too. So we determined that virtual learning was the way to go. And different from what we did in the spring with virtual learning, is we were able to use some of the COVID funds that we received from Head Start specifically to purchase tablets. And not only just the tablets, but the broadband internet within the tablet. So that was one thing that we noticed, was we weren't expecting when we went through this in the spring with the closures, was that families were not able to access internet, or they had several children using the internet at one time, putting a strain on that internet. So the tablets that we purchased already have the internet in them. So if families need those, we can provide them so they can connect with their teachers through either Zoom meetings, or we have an online e-portfolio that they're using to connect and use to, you know, download work that they're working on at home and to be able to share that with their teachers. And so they're doing a combination of individual calls with the families, and then they're also doing at least one time a week a group call, because our goal is to eventually get back into the classroom, hopefully in January sometime. And we really want the families to be able to connect and see one another, so that when the children start in January, it's not, these are not strangers to them, that they are all familiar with one another. So that is really our goal that we're working towards, is getting back into the classroom in January. And we're keeping our enrollment lower because we want to make sure that we're maintaining, if we go back in the classroom in January, that we're maintaining safe distance, and that we're able to make sure that the children are socially distancing, because with this age group, 0 to 5, it's really difficult for us to try to socially distance children. They want to hug their teachers, they want to hug each other. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. And so in order to do that, we're working on, we're keeping those class sizes low. So some of the things that we're doing within the virtual learning as well is, so not only you know, providing a way for the teachers and the students and families to connect, we provide educational services to help them prepare for, you know, for kindergarten or their next step. What we're doing is we have family advocates that also contact the families. And the family advocates ensure that any needs that the families have, if the families are saying they're struggling with food, they're struggling with rent, they have a foreclosure situation, our family advocates, any type of need that they express, clothing, anything, our family advocates come in and they work with the families to find them those resources to be able to provide any type of support that we can for the family. So that's another area that we're covering. We also cover our health component, because we have to make sure that when the children are in our program, that they have their up-to-date screenings, physicals, dentals, you know, everything is all up to date. So the goal is when they go to kindergarten, they have all of their screenings and they're ready to go to kindergarten. So we're still continuing that virtually, you know, making sure that they're turning in their physicals. We have health providers, coordinators that work with the families as well. We also have mental health coordinators that are in continual conversations with teachers. So if teachers start sensing that there's something going on, or they have a concern, or the families are expressing a mental health concern, and especially during this time of COVID, we're getting a lot of requests for support because families are they're dealing with a lot of family loss, the loss of being able to connect with people in the community. So we're really finding that mental health support is really important at this time. And then the other piece is nutrition, because Head Start provides a good portion of their nutrition during the day. So we were very concerned about that in meeting that need. So we are trying to come up with some different ways to be able to provide food service for families and be able to you know, deliver food, or either partner with another agency. Where we've been talking to Lighthouse, so possibly some sort of partnership with their food program. But if anybody has any suggestions on that, we would definitely welcome any suggestions. The other portion that we work on too is all of our staff has gone through a training called Trauma Smart. And Trauma Smart is really working with families that are in crisis. You know, a couple of years ago, we were having a lot of challenging behaviors in children we were seeing in the classroom. And so we started working on Trauma Smart and helping teachers to see, instead of, you know, what's wrong with this child, why are they behaving this way, to say what happened to this child that they're behaving this way. And so that they can really look at it differently to be able to support them and say, you know, how can I support this family? How can I support this child? You know, what are they going through? What kind of crisis are they going through that we can support them? And we've done the program for about 3 years now, and we've really seen a growth in just not having as many challenging behaviors in classrooms. And it's really because the teachers know they have it within themselves to help those families. So it's been really a successful program. So those are, you know, just kind of overall what we're doing. We not only have early Head Start center base where they come to the classrooms, we also have home base where we have home visitors that go to a family's home to provide early Head Start services for children ages 0 to 3. They're not going into the home right now. The home visitors are doing a similar service where they're connecting through either Zoom, or they're still providing lessons and service and, you know, helping with the families with the early Head Start program, but it's all done virtual. You know, and our goal is we're working towards hopefully getting back in the classroom in January, but you know, we're going to really take a look in November to assess the whole situation to see if we're able to do that and get back in the classroom. So, oh, I think you're muted, Monica. I can't hear you.
Thanks. That is a lot.
Yeah. And that's only such a small portion. Yeah.
Did you have any questions for Janice?
Well, Janice, just asking, and you know, given the conversations we've been having, do you see something that's going to be taking place in January through, you know, the first part of 2021, or is it later than that?
You mean as far as us going back into the classroom?
Right.
You know, it's really just going to tell on what happens. You know, we're just starting next week. We're starting September 21st. So that's why we made the decision to wait until the end of the year, because we felt like we didn't want to start in virtual and then all of a sudden jump back to the classroom before we were ready. So we're really going to, you know, watch what happens as the schools start going back in person. You know, we're going to see what happens, see if they're able to maintain, you know, not having any type of outbreaks. And then if they're able to be successful in that, we will follow along, and then we will start back in January.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to get a sense of and how we might, you know, strategize some additional assets, and as we've been discussing.
If in November, December, you know, closing and things are not looking like we're going to be able to sustain being in a classroom, then we're going to, have to relook at, continuing with virtual learning starting in January. We are definitely open to everything and just really following the data and what's happening in the county. The concern that we had too was just if a teacher went out because she got sick, I had nobody to replace her with. So then those classrooms would have to be closed anyways. So this way, at least we're starting off consistently with having virtual learning.
Well, we had some interesting conversations
Mm-hmm.
with Brenda Carter yesterday regarding that as well. So
Oh,
maybe around the table to do some kind of pilot program that is vested in success on behalf of youth at pre-K and as well, maybe up to 6th grade. I'd love to see some young 6th graders teaching some very young kids.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we would definitely be interested in any type of partnership to help support that learning.
Terrific. Anything else on your agenda? Any other questions? Yep.
Janice.
There you go.
Number one, there's several places, including the Crowfoot, that could accommodate 300 people or any part thereof downtown Pontiac, and we would like to provide that service to you at whatever cost you can afford, whether it's free or whether you have any funds for meetings.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely, can afford some funding.
We do some very high-end corporate parties, some very expensive weddings. We do public special events at the Fisher Building in downtown Detroit, which is the most beautiful building in Michigan, arguably.
Yeah, it is.
The flip side is we also do people's funeral repasts from the community that don't have a place. We don't charge anything because we certainly believe you've got to give to get and get to give.
Mm-hmm.
So I happen to know about OLHSA from a different perspective. I was a Head Start teacher in 1966 and in 1970 in Jackson, and we had a community action program.
Mm-hmm.
The community OLHSA has been around since then, and my perspective of OLHSA is that it's the real thing. I mean, some of the community action programs have fallen down. Some are no longer there. Some of them are bureaucratic sinkholes. And OLHSA is the real thing. And it provides vital services. And it's got its efficiency, and it's authentic, and it's honest.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at Pontiac and Oakland County, OLHSA is right up at the top of the people that are on the cutting edge of what is important to build our community. And I think there's some great opportunities that lie in front of us. I mean, OLHSA and the community action agencies were created by Kennedy and then Johnson's War on Poverty in 1963. So you're almost 60 years old. And I view what's going on with Black Lives Matter and the horrific revelations that have been brought out about the police and the abuse and killing of Black people has created an environment where if we take the Senate and the presidency, there will be a will and funding to do things that haven't been able to be done since the massive legislation that was passed in the wake of Kennedy's assassination in 1963, when we had 2.5 years of major legislation that was passed, which is the first time any legislation significantly was passed since Roosevelt beat Hoover in 1933. And then they had several years of significant community changing, nation changing legislation. And we're on the cusp of that nationally and locally. Locally, we've got a new head of the county, and we've got a chance to have a new sheriff that can change the nature of incarceration of the people that are most impacted by poverty and intergenerational dysfunctionality, and that is the people that sit in the Oakland County Jail. And that's got to be changed, and OLHSA is right there. It's got the programs and the capacity and the ability to grow and fit those needs.
That is another program that we operate under my division. I didn't mention it, but we also operate a reentry program where we have children that have parents that are incarcerated. We work with the families to, just to make sure that when through that transition, so when that they do come out of jail, that they have that connection with their child still, and they're still working on parenting skills. And that is definitely a program that I would love to see us to be able to expand upon. But we have staff, but we have very limited staff to be able to provide more services. But we're able to do socializations in the jail and be able to connect children to their parents and have different socializations. But I would love to be able to work on that program.
Go ahead. You can still be here. I just got to do something.
I can what?
You can still be here. I just got to do something.
Well, I think what personifies the jails is a revelation that I had in Oakland County, which is the largest jail in Michigan. The sheriff's brother controlled the phone system between the jail and homes. So if somebody had their loved one locked up in Wayne County Jail and they had to call, it cost more than calling person to Beijing or Moscow. And it turned out that Warren Evans, who's now the county executive in Wayne, his brother owned the phone system. And what's going on in Oakland County isn't much better. And what it shows is how they view the prisoners. They view them with no respect. They don't cherish this moment to interact with the people that are incarcerated in a significant fashion, to deal with mental health, physical health, literacy, connectivity to affordable health care, and prepare them to leave. They have to pay for feminine hygiene, for shampoo, and they lose their jobs, and it's just a morass. And we're at a moment in society, because of Black Lives Matter and because of the trauma brought on by this current Washington administration, to change that completely. And I wish to work with OLHSA, and it certainly involves placemaking and rebuilding of our city. It's all associated.
I agree. That's why I'm so glad we're able to have this conversation to brainstorm on how we can take this further.
Yes.
So
we're very excited about our talks around a pilot program and how that connects with activating Crowfoot. Crowfoot has Blair, as he mentioned, with his former Head Start, we've brought kids to him in the past from a pilot we ran with Weber Media Arts Academy and with Oakland Family Service kids, and he's just amazing engaging them.
Yeah, we would definitely love to be a part of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a problem with going live here on Facebook. Sorry I'm gonna get back to our screen here, but anybody else have any questions for? We're gonna be, our next group is going to be the students from the Oakland University's Global Cities Symposium. And we've been engaging them as well at the Crowfoot, and we've had them there a few times, but also on tours throughout the city, and getting them a real world experience of a city in the throes of reinventing itself. and exposing them to some of the politics that Blair highlighted for us. So that will be we think of that as something that connects as well with the early childhood programming and things that we've been talking about. That's another element that could help fill the Ottawa Towers and create some serendipitous connections. You know, having preschool kids and bumping into university students and future of work orchestrations that we've all been sort of thrust into with COVID overnight. And, you know, just as well as the city of Pontiac having their offices there, having the school district offices there, and just having these kind of conversations on a daily basis when you're having lunch, when you're going to the food truck on the plaza, all of that, that's what that center and development concept could be. And that also flows in with opportunity zones. And that's going to be a hot topic pretty soon as well, with funding, and that's up for consideration at the council right now. There's been a couple of proposals that have come through, one from Kresge and some others. So yeah, we're having a good early conversation right now about these things, and
Will there be more conversation this afternoon when we get the folks from Placemaking US?
Placemaking US is going to hold a symposium today at 1:30, from 1:30 to 3 p.m. And they'll be talking about, you know, other cities and what they've gone through, and what placemaking really is. It's you know, everything from just having a basketball hoop to having a vendor on the street, to just all the, but a lot of it. And trying to create as much of, but that's things that our community does naturally. There's just not the opportunity really to express that or to have that take place in this downtown thus far, but we have that opening now.
And there's an
Yeah.
And the educational piece absolutely is part of that.
That's called,
Well,
what's her name? The building.
Oh, Madeline. There's also an educational piece of that Placemaking US conversation at 1:30 with, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the XQ redesign challenge. It was Lorene Powell Jobs facilitated that, and it was nationwide. It was a challenge and each school received like a couple of $1 million. And it was all around redesigning their high school. And and Madeline won one of those awards. And the school's called Circulos. And it's around creating a wallless high school experience. So, and that was before this era here. So we're going to be picking her brain as well.
So the wallless.
Speaking of wallless.
Now we have COVID-19 making a wall.
Right. We're all in wallless.
So we're
Yeah.
thinking about the aspect of her bringing forth a deeper understanding about how that operational, from her standpoint, has been going for the last couple of years.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in hearing that conversation this afternoon. I unfortunately can't stay on the whole time, but I'll hop over and watch it on Facebook.
Awesome.
This will be recorded, so
Yeah.
you'll have a chance
Okay.
to do anything, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so will you send out that recording to all of us?
Yes, I will be. And I'll even do like little clips and everything too. So
Okay. Oh, perfect. Great. Well, thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Janice.
Oh, no problem. I look forward to further conversations with all of you too.
Okay,
So
great.
thanks. Bye.